Welcome to Body Time. I'm Jacob DeGate. It's now my pleasure to introduce Jim Wendell, who's here, the Terrebonne Parish Parks and Recreation Administrator. Jim, thank you very much for joining us.
Jacob, always good to be here.
All right, got a lot going on as always in the rec district. You know, a lot of kids involved over a lot of territory in Terrebonne Parish. Can you give us an update of what's going on right now, particularly?
Yeah, I'll update you on what we have going on right now, and we'll also, as we get into it, talk about the good, the bad, the ugly of recreation. Currently, we have our youth basketball program, which is ages 7 through 12, going on. We reported on that on our routine fill-in that we usually come and give you guys. But we do have 775 athletes enrolled in our recreation basketball, totaling 73 teams. This has been a challenging season for basketball. We have 17 gyms in Terrebonne Parish. We have 5 of them that were damaged or destroyed from Ida. So we are not only trying to fit those 73 teams into circulation, into practices and game schedules, but we're also competing for gym space. We have a lot of middle school and high schools that are using recreation facilities because their school facilities were damaged. We have the normal people who are trying to get in, the travel ball teams who are trying to get some practices in and done, as well as the general public who need to, rent a facility or do some of the sports that they're doing. So it's been challenging. We've had to stagger our, we registered all the children participants at the same time, but we've had to stagger our practices on what age groups start at one time. We separate our leagues by boys and girls and by age. So we start boys, a certain age, girls a certain age at different times. So we have some teams practicing now. Just because you haven't received a call from a coach, your age group may not be practicing at this time. So we've had to stagger it out. We have some, I think the 9-10-year-old age group, which isn't starting until the very beginning of January, just because of the way it all played out facilities-wise. So we hope to have a great season because our numbers are where they've been in the past. We're battling through space issues, but we're going to get it pulled off and hopefully have a good program for those folks there. So 73 teams, 775 athletes.
That certainly is a lot, a mouthful now, a lot to put together. That's for sure. I don't envy you on that at all.
We do have some things coming up as well. We advertise everything through a flyer that we put out at the beginning of the year. For quite a few years, we've sent flyers to schools for them to distribute to the kids. Probably the last 2 or 3 years, we haven't done that. The slide that's showing, the left side shows everything that's scheduled for 2023. We do have that posted to our social media sites. I'll make sure it gets posted again later this week so everybody kind of has an idea of what's registering and what times that it's registering so nobody gets left out of anything. To touch real quick on the right-hand side of that slide, we do have 3 things that are coming up in the very beginning of January. Our pre-prep basketball, which follows our recreation basketball, that's children ages 13 to 17, kind of like the young adults. That's co-ed, and we do offer that. Registration starts January 23rd through February 17th with games beginning March 6th. And we have probably right behind football, one of our biggest 2 seasons, which is softball and baseball, and that's kids ages 7 through 15, and both age groups. Actually, softball is 7 through 18. And that registration is January 30th through March 3rd with games beginning in April. Now, hopefully we will not have space issues with softball and baseball. We had a lot of fields that were damaged, some that have been limited to daytime use only, but we do still have enough remaining fields that we can play on depending on school schedules and things, because we share those facilities with schools as well, as far as lights, so we can have nighttime games. But with the addition of the fields at the Bayou Country Sports Park, the softball complex on Martin Luther King, the boys baseball complex in Broadmoor, we do have enough facilities that are usable now that we shouldn't have that issue. We advertise on our social media sites, our website, tprec.org, and I mentioned the school flyers. Something we started a couple months ago, and we'll continue it into 2023, because a lot of people call after registrations and say, hey, I couldn't get my kid registered. We need to add them onto a team. When we come back from the break, I'll discuss our new registration process a little bit so that everybody's aware of why we have some of the policies and procedures in place. It's not just trying to be a stickler for something, but there's something behind it. But we also are going to put out a calendar by month so that all of these are in JPG format. So it's a picture. You can save it to your phone. You can share it to your friends. You can print it out, hang it on the refrigerator. But it's a simple calendar that'll also, in addition to the other flyer formats that we put out, be able to tell you at a month's glance of what's going on, when registration starts, because unfortunately we've had to change the policy to where late registrations are not allowed, because it's done through computer now, and once we hit that button of populate, let's get it rolling, it's kind of hard to roll all that back and add participants and everything else. So we're moving full steam ahead. A lot of the recreation districts are getting a lot of the facilities fixed up. The other ones are still in negotiations with FEMA and insurance. We had the Parish President's Rec Advisory Board meeting last week. A lot of them are moving along with FEMA meetings, with plans to demolish what needs to be demolished, and some really concrete plans moving forward of repairing or rebuilding. Lisa Park Gym, there's some things down Chauvin, Grand Caillou, Montague that need some major repairs or demolition, and the ball is actually rolling with those things to get the recreation facilities back in line for Terrebonne. So we seem to be moving in the right direction. Things are going well, and play ball.
I know that there's some new software that you want to touch on to make sure everybody can understand it. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
We do have a new registration program, and it encompasses some things with our partners at the Recreation District. The way that recreation is set up in Terrebonne Parish, TPR, Terrebonne Parish Recreation, actually facilitates the programs. We provide the funding for all of the equipment. We get the coaches. We put the programs together. We schedule all the practices, all of the games, and we run the program for the duration. Where the recreation districts come in, there are 11 different recreation districts in the parish, usually by community. And those folks collect a local tax millage within that district to provide recreation facilities. So all of the ball fields, all of the gyms, all of the parks actually belong to, or they're under the management of the recreation districts. So a lot of people will call TPR and say, hey, the grass needs to be cut here, or we need a new slide here, or can we use the gym here? And all that is actually handled through the recreation districts. We don't mind getting the phone calls. We can give you the number of who to call or some information. But the Recreation Advisory Task Force that was put together last year, the year before, by the Parish Council, along with President Dove, they came up with some recommendations to kind of streamline recreation, which those are changes that have been needing to be made for quite some time. Sometimes we have a breakdown in communication, or we have an email that didn't go through, or a text message that doesn't get read, and it causes problems not only for the recreation programs, different school functions or tournaments, but actually the recreation districts who manage the facilities. TPR deals a lot in league management and facility management, and that's where this computer program will tie it all together. With the league management, we register children for the programs, whether it be softball, baseball, football. And we also do team assignments where we separate the kids by area, by school, however they need to be broken out into groups, and assign them to teams. We get the teams scheduled for practices and games. The facility management side comes in when we schedule practices, because we need to provide an employee to open up, to clean up, to oversee what's going on when the coaches go in with their teams, that with game schedules. But also we're in competition with district events that are scheduled, which is general public rentals or travel ball, as well as school functions, whether it be band concerts, choir concerts, or school ball. So hopefully this new program will allow us, we're going to populate it with all of the sports, which we have done in the registration times. We've also populated it with all of the gyms as of now, and the website is tprec.org. And when you go to the website, you can look at the different district offerings, whether it be a gym. We're starting to populate the ball fields to get ready for softball, baseball time, so we can for lack of better terms, rent those facilities out, actually to ourselves, but actually book them to where they're spoken for. A lot of times we'll plan to have a ball game with, or a series of ball games on a certain day in a gym with 8 games, 2 teams with, 15 kids per team. So we have 600 or 700 people going through that gym on a daily basis, and someone else has booked it for a craft show or a repass or, a school event, and we end up starting to have 300 people showing up at the same time to attend 2 separate events because an email went unread or something happened. So hopefully this will prevent the double bookings that we've had issues with in the past, and make the relationship between Terrebonne Parish Recreation and the recreation districts a little bit better because we're all on the same page as to what needs to go on there. You do need to create a new account, and quite a few years ago, probably 2 or 3 years ago, we started offering online registration because that was a big thing. People didn't want to have to come in person. You will have to re-register for this program, set up an account, add your participants, and you can just add them to the cart for whatever sporting season you want them to be in and check out with the registration. We do have information that's on the slide. We have some simple instructions on how to set up the account and how to register for a program or activity. But this is also going to help us because we always get 1 or 2 calls at the end of a season or at the beginning, after a registration, but at the beginning of a season of we never got a call, we don't know what team the kid's on, and to be honest, we do have a few kids that fall through the cracks because we do all of this by hand. All of the scheduling, we have to call rec districts to see when the gyms are available. We have to schedule, send it to them, they send it back. It's the same thing with registering the kids for sports. If we have 2 papers that are stuck together, the kid doesn't make it on a roster. So we shuffle paper constantly back and forth, and with this new registration system, everybody's an entry, and we're not going to lose kids or misplace them until the parents call after games have started or after practices have started. So in tying all this together, that's why we can no longer offer late registrations, because once we get the teams registered, we hit a button and it separates them by school district, by address, or by team requested, whether they played on the team last year or somebody's brother-in-law is coaching a team that they want them to be on. So it'll assign the kids to teams. It'll send out the rosters to all the coaches that we have input. It will also book practice times for all of the teams, and also make a game league schedule, this team versus this team in different age groups, and tie it all together. So once we hit that command of put it all together, it's kind of hard to go back in and add a kid.
Sure.
Or we have 10 people that want to register late. Now we have to add a team, which usually throws the monkey wrench in of, okay, now we have to create additional practice times. We have to redo the whole schedule because of games. So hopefully this will iron all those things out for us. So please be patient with us while we're in the transition. Register during the registration period, and we promise to execute the program as best that can be done, and hit send, and everybody will be going to the right place at the right time.
All right. Well, thank you again. I think that's going to be a great thing. I know it's going to be appreciated by the parents out there and the coaches as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more right here on HTV.